Hi my loves, welcome to a new reading vlog. So I'm hoping to do this as a week-long reading vlog, but it might finish earlier than a week, it might run over a week, it depends on my reading basically. But I am going to be reading the books that are on my Greek God-a-thon TBR. So if you didn't know, I'll link the video down below with the TBR and a bit about the readathon, but there's a month-long readathon called Greek God Readathon, and basically you're in two teams, which is Team Chaos and Team Control, and in each team there are 7 gods in each, and so depending on which god you choose, it depends on which team you're on. So I'm on Team Chaos because I chose Hades, obviously. I think we all know that, you know, I was going to go for Hades, and each god actually has a special power, and I have changed my TBR a bit. So in my video I had this TBR blah blah blah, and I have changed it around a bit for numerous reasons, and yeah. So I'm not going to go through like all the prompts and everything, but I will just quickly go through some bits. So I have already read 2 books in this readathon purely because it was in the other readathon that I'm participating in, which is Game of Tomes. So for Aphrodite's prompt, which was basically read a romance, I read The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary, which was also in the Game of Tomes prompt, which was to do about travelling, which this was. So I've already read that. So I have done a vlog of this, so I'll link that vlog down below as well, actually, because I have some thoughts about that one. And then the second prompt was a book about war. I can't remember who the gods prompt that belonged to now. Originally it was going to be Jade Legacy, which was what was on that TBR video. I then changed it to Jade War because I hadn't read Jade War, so it was getting run over to this month. However, I have changed that again because I'm like, do you know what, I just want to make this a tiny bit easy for myself. So instead I did Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, because there is a massive big war here. We've got training for war as well. It really fit that prompt really well, and I've already read it. So I was like, I've already read 2 books in this readathon. It just made it a little bit easier for me. And then that's where we change. So for Hades' power, I can combine 3 prompts to 1 book, and I had done that. However, after reading Ruin and Rising and the book that I put for one of those prompts, I don't overly think it fits that prompt at all. Like, as I'm reading it, it might do, but I'm not 100% sure, because what happened in Ruin and Rising is over and done with, and so it's like a different sort of story of this book. So I don't know whether there is actually got what this prompt was. So basically Hades' prompt is a book with undead in it, and I had originally put King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, which is the first book in the King of Scars duology. So this obviously follows Nikolai and is it Zoya? Yeah, Zoya. I obviously got told that I needed to read Ruin and Rising before I read this because it follows what happened to Nikolai in Ruin and Rising. Now, when I picked this up, I assumed there was going to be some undead things. It said about a demon in here, so I was like, well, that's undead. And I was sort of thinking there's going to be monsters. But I'm now not 100% sure. It might work, but I don't want to read it and find out it's not. So for Hades' prompt now, I have changed it from this. I'm still going to read this, but I have changed it for The Red Squirrels of Magic by Cassandra, Clare and Wesley. I'm basically at the moment reading all of the Shadowhunters books. I've already read the first 3 and I just want to continue reading it. But I do know there's got demons in here, there's vampires in here, we've got a warlock. There's, you know, vampires firstly are undead. Demons technically are undead. Warlocks, I think they are immortal. So I know for well this will fit, and also it means I continue reading the Shadowhunter books because I'm doing the order that Cassandra Clare says, which is how I had all my books set out. So I'm in the mood to continue reading the series, so I thought, you know what, I might as well, and I know this fits that prompt. So I am still using Hades' power. However, I've actually now just fit 1 book to 2 prompts. So King of Scars is for the most anticipated book, and continuing on with a series. Now, I know this is its own series itself, it's a duology, but it is part of the Grishaverse series, so I'm counting that because technically it does in some sense carry on from Ruin and Rising, because we're following the aftermath of what happened in Ruin and Rising. We're just now focusing on different characters and not so much focusing on Alina and the Darkling, because obviously the Darkling's dead. Alina's been made that she is dead, but she's not. So it's not following Nat's sort of story so much, but we're still following characters and we're still following the aftermath of that. So I am making it count because it is part of a whole Grishaverse series, and you know, I technically need to read the other books before I read this because I wouldn't have known what's gone on. So that's for that, and it's also for the most anticipated book because I've been wanting to read this for ages, but I knew I needed to read the Shadow and Bone trilogy first before I got to here. So it's now, instead of the 3 books, 3 prompts with 1 book, I've just done 2 prompts and 2 books, so I am reading an extra book now on this prompt. I don't mind. And then lastly, this was I can't remember whose prompt it was now, but it was basically a book that YouCut bought. So I love this cover, but it wasn't because of that. It was underneath the dust jacket was the reason why I wanted this book. I actually got gifted this book, so that was an even plus. But I've been wanting to read this anyway. I've been meaning to put this on my TBR the last 3 months, so I was like, this really fits that prompt well. So we got Witchhaven, which I think is the Dark Academia Witch School, possibly. I'm not completely sure now. And then the last book, which originally was going to be Part of Your World, A Twisted Disney Tale by Liz Braswell. I've now changed that to The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. That was for the Poseidon prompt, which was a book that has water elements in. Now, Part of Your World, I know it does. It's a Little Mermaid twisted tale, so obviously it's focused on the ocean, Little Mermaid and all that. But I'm not really in the mood to read that book. I got a feeling I'm just going to be bored by that book. When I read Let It Go, which was another Disney twisted tale, it literally was just, the twist in it was that the sisters didn't know each other, and I was just like, I just feel like I'm watching the movie, just different in the sense that the sisters had no clue who they were. So I ended up changing that because I was like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to enjoy it, and I don't want to not enjoy this readathon. So I changed it to The Bridge Kingdom because a lot of people had put that prompt on that book on that prompt, and so I'm kind of trusting them that it has got some water elements in. But all I know about that book is it's a fantasy romance, and that is as much as it is. I've had it on my Kindle for ages. It was on Kindle Unlimited and I've been meaning to read it, so we're going to go and read it. So I do have 4 books to read in this readathon, obviously these 3 and also the Kindle. I was even about doing them in order, but to be fair, I don't think I will. I think I'm going to start with this just because I have literally finished City of Glass yesterday. So I do just want to carry on with the Shadowhunter world because it's still fresh in my mind. So I think I'm going to go with this, and then I think I am going to then read King of Scars because I'm desperate to read it. Then Witchhaven, and then Bridge Kingdom last, which actually in hindsight I think I am doing it in order. So that's the plan. Whether I've been reading the Shadowhunter series within hours, so I don't think this is going to take me long. I do think Witchhaven and King of Stars might take me a couple of days to read just because they're bigger chunky books. So I'm doing this as a week-long reading vlog, but it might end earlier, it might go on a little bit later, we'll see. But I'm very excited. I've got some good books to read and I'm in such a reading mood. So yeah, let's get straight into the vlog. We are going to start off with the Red Squirrels of Magic by Cassandra, Clare and Wesley. So I'm going to go and start reading that and make myself some lunch. So I will catch up with you all when I've got some reading updates. We'll see. Or if not, I might just update you when I finished it, because to be fair, I don't like stopping reading these books because they're so good. But yeah, so we're going to concentrate on this book, we're going to grab some lunch, and I will catch up with you all a little bit later. Give you a little bit of a reading update. I haven't read tons. I'm on chapter 9, page 95. So only read that much. I've been slightly distracted. I've been downstairs and I've been chilling with the guinea pigs, and the guinea pigs distract me, so yeah. But I've also got a honker of a headache again. It's just thumping like nobody's business, so that's not helping. But I thought I would give you a little bit of a reading update on what this is about. Oh, okay, I shouldn't have done that. I got, ow, okay, we shouldn't have done that. Basically, the Red Squirrels of Magic, it is its own type of book. So basically, we're just following Magnus and Alec. Now, in the first 3 books, we obviously know who Magnus and Alec is. Alec is one of the shadow hunters in the New York Institute. So Alec and Isabel Lightwood, they are siblings, and then we've got Jace, who they sort of adopted, and it's sort of them in the Institute with everyone else. Like they've been a tag team, and then Clare came involved, and it's like sort of involved them, and then it's involved Simon because he turned into a vampire. But basically, in book 2 and book 3 of the Mortal Instruments series, not trilogy, in book 2 and 3, Magnus and Alec have sort of got like a thing going on. So Alec is gay, and I would say Magnus is more bisexual, but Alec has been sort of hiding the fact that he prefers men. He's been hiding it, he's been pretending to be straight all along. He had sort of been harbouring feelings for Jace. He wasn't sure whether it was like brotherly love or whether it was a bit more than that. But when he met Magnus and they sort of worked along together, it sort of became clear that they had a little bit of a thing going on. We don't get too much into Magnus and Alec, but I think Magnus and Alec were sort of hanging out a lot in the 3rd book in Immortal Instruments. I think they like sort of maybe went out on a couple of dates and all that. It was very clear that Magnus was into Alec, and it's very clear that I think like Alec was, but I think Alec didn't want people to know because, you know, he's a shadow hunter. I don't think a lot of shadow hunters out there really have showed like their sexual preference. Like I think he also was ashamed because I don't think his parents were going to agree with it, especially the fact that Magnus is a very high powerful warlock, and he's also from, you know, he's got demon, basically warlocks are half demon, half mundane sort of thing. Yeah, anyway, so we're following these two, and they're on a vacation together. So basically, in the end of City of Glass, Alec kissed Magnus, and everyone knew that they were together. So the Red Squirrels of Magic were basically following Magnus and Alec, who've gone to Paris for a little romantic vacation to basically get to know one another, just be on their own themselves without any drama, without like any friends or family getting in the way and stuff like that. But with every vacation, regardless if you're human or not, it doesn't plan out like they want. So basically, they head to Paris, and Magnus did this whole big cute dinner on a hot air balloon. But as they were flying through the sky, Alec, being a shadow hunter and not ever stopping being a shadow hunter, he noticed that there was like a shadow that was looking quite peculiar, and then in that sense he saw 2 shadow hunters from the Paris Institute trying to kill these demons, and so Alec and Magnus ended up helping them because they were outnumbered, and so that was going on, and they found out that there's been a lot of demon activity and a lot of downworlders going missing and everything. And so when Alec and Magnus go back to one of Magnus's homes in Paris, they went back and they were getting a bit steamy, like, you know, they were getting a bit steamy, and then basically Alex noted that there was someone else in there, and it was one of Magnus's warlock friends who so she's another warlock who has a parent who's a greater demon, which Magnus's father is a greater demon. He's one of the princes of hell, and she basically told him that there is a cult that's basically it's a cult that's a demon worshipping cult, but they're, you know, starting to get more demon activity. A lot of downworlders are going missing, and so basically this cult is called the Crimson Hand, and they're bent on causing chaos around the world. But apparently this cult was founded by Magnus himself. So Tessa, who's Magnus's warlock friend, she basically said, you know, it's apparently your cult, you're the one running it and all that. But obviously Magnus is very aware that he isn't, because, you know, A, he's been in a war with Valentine and been fighting alongside there, and B, he's not that way inclined. But he does know that he did start a demon worshipping cult as a joke. So he did it as a joke with another warlock friend called Ragnarfell, and so he's like, okay, but as he's trying to remember what happened, like, did it happen and all that, he's noticed that his memories have gone missing. So someone has taken some of his memories. So the last memory he can ever remember is that he sat having a drink with Ragnarfell, and they were like getting quite drunk, and they were talking about how people don't appreciate them because they're like from like a demon father, a demon mother, and all that, and, you know, how they just want people to recognize who they are. And so we're talking about this cult, the Crimson Hand. but Magnus was like, it was just a joke. They were just talking about it. They never actually did anything. But then that's his last memory, and then his earliest memory from that is 3 years later for something completely different. So he knows full well that he's lost 3 years of his memory, and he doesn't know why. So he's obviously now trying to find out what the hell's going on with his crimson hand, and obviously trying to work out what memories have been replaced. Like, has he actually done this cult? And he's wiped his own memories, so he doesn't remember and stuff, so he doesn't get in trouble or what. And obviously Alex is there, and Alex is like, basically, I'm staying with you, I'm helping. And Magnus is like, but I don't know what's going on. Like, it might come out that actually I did do this and I can't remember. And Alex is like, I trust you, I know you didn't. So Magnus is sort of at the moment being blamed for this cult. Alex basically hiding this from the Institute and the Clave and everything, because he knows for well if he does mention about this, even though like the Shadow Hunters can help, it also puts Magnus in jeopardy, and more than likely Magnus would be done for it. And because he's a downworlder, the Clave don't really like downworlders, and yeah, so he's sort of going against the Clave and everything he's been brought up to save Magnus, because he knows for well Magnus will get done for this. So they're currently trying to find out about Crimson Hand and what's going on, and they got a lead from a mundane who has the sight. He can see downworlders and all that, but he hasn't got any ability or anything. He just has the sight for whatever reason. He did a tip off to Magnus to say that the Crimson Hand is in Venice, and that there is someone who was a former cult member, and he might be able to answer Magnus's questions and all that. So they're now heading off to Venice. So they're currently on this Orient Express train. It sounds absolutely lush. And basically a massive big demon attack has happened, and Magnus has got captured by this like tentacle big massive demon, and Alec went to go and save him. Alec got attacked by a rune demon and another demon that's got poison tentacles, which obviously actually got onto Alec. So Alec has now got demon poison in him, and he's currently passed out. But if he doesn't get healed properly, counteract the poison, he's going to die. So that's sort of where we're at in the book. Now, I'm very aware that Alec won't die because he's obviously in the other books. So I understand now why Cassandra Clare has given us the series that she thinks is best, because this does talk about what happened in City of Glass, particularly the war between Valentine and the demons. It obviously does mention how Magnus and Alec first met. It also mentions Alec's grief because his little brother Max got killed in the war in City of Glass. It obviously mentions, about Clare and Simon. Like, this is their own story. It doesn't really focus on the immortal instruments or anything like that. But there are bits and pieces in this book that does interlink with the previous books. There's also characters in here like Tessa, and there's other characters that have been mentioned in here that I do wonder whether might be in the other series. Like, we've got the Infernal Devices, which book one's after this one, which I'm wondering whether might talk about these characters. We've also got the Bane Chronicles, the Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. We have got books that I think interlink with all of these books with characters and all that, and you get their own side story. So I can understand now why Cassandra Clare sort of suggests this option. Like, to be fair, I could probably read all of the series in like their publication order and all that, and I think it would still make sense. But it's just nice to read it in the way Cassandra Clare suggests, because I think some of these books open up for the other books in the series. Like, I find with the Grishaverse series, like, we get told to read Shadow and Bone trilogy, then Six of Crows duology, then King of Scars duology, and because I did it a little bit of the wrong way in some ones, I didn't finish the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I went like Shadow and Bone, I then read Six of Crows, I then read Siege and Storm, then read Crooked Kingdom, and then I finished Rune and Rising. And so there were bits that spoiled the Shadow and Bone trilogy because it had like the spoilery bits in the other books. So yeah, I can see why she does that order. I don't think it overly matters, but it's nice just not to have, like, it's nice not just to have the lead up and not have those spoilers. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I love the fact that we've got LGBTQI plus representation in here, and it's not sexually graphic, but it is quite steamy in a YA sense. But yeah, am I loving this as much as the Mortal Instrument 3 books that I read so far? Not at this particular moment. It's not as fast-paced and action-packed as those 3 books are. But I'm also aware that this isn't focusing on a war or anything. It is just sort of, they're on holiday, they're sort of learning about one another and making their relationship work, because it's very new and fresh. And obviously there's this demon worshipping cult that's happening, and Alec can't turn a blind eye when it's it's partly Shadowhunter business. So like for the 95 pages I've read, like I'm enjoying it. I'm not at all thinking, oh, this is boring or anything like that. Like I really like learning more about Magnus and Alec. I just at the moment feel, oh, this is not as action packed as the Mortal Instrument books that I've read are. But I literally have gotten just to a massive big demon attack, so I'm wondering whether going into it a bit more, it might start getting a bit more action packed and everything. But yeah, still enjoying it. Like at the moment, I don't think it's like a 5-star vibe. I think it's probably between a 3.75, 4 stars, something like that. You know, we'll see how the book goes. But yeah, it definitely fits the prompt for Hades, because we've got vampires, we've got werewolves, we've got demons, and to me, vampires and demons are definitely undead, because vampires are immortal, they don't die, and demons are hell, they actually are immortals. You know, they're dead things, that they can die, but they're already dead. It's not like that kind of sense. So yeah, definitely fits the bill. But yeah, I might, Alice is currently at Rainbow, so I might read another chapter before I have to go and get her, and then I probably will start reading more tonight. However, I do need to edit a vlog that I've just filmed, so I might possibly do that, see how long that takes, and then read, just because my head is pounding, and I just have a feeling that if I keep reading, it's going to make it worse, because it is like sort of behind my eyes and that. So I think I'm going to read a chapter before I have to go and get Alice from Rainbows, then have dinner. I think once she's gone to bed, I think I will start editing my video. Actually, to be fair, it's a long video, but I don't have to do much editing on it, so it shouldn't take me too long. So hopefully if I do that and get it uploaded and scheduled in, I might read a little bit more. But I certainly won't be finishing the book. I wouldn't say it's as fast paced as what the Mortal Instruments books are. Like, you know, I would have by now said that I'd probably be over halfway, but then I only started reading this at about 1 o'clock. So, yeah. So I will probably update you again about this when I finished it. So that might be sometime tomorrow. But yeah, I am enjoying it. It's just not as entertaining and fast paced and action packed as the Mortal Instrument 3 books I've read. But nevertheless, I am still enjoying it, and you know, I do like Alec and Magnus, and I do like the queer representation that's in it. Like, it's nice to have that, especially in like a YA fantasy as well. So yeah, I will catch up with you probably tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have finished that book, and then we can get on to reading the other books. But yeah, I will talk to you tomorrow. Hello, my loves. Good morning. So I actually haven't vlogged the past 2 days, and I'm really sorry for that. So the last time I updated you, I think, was on Tuesday, and I said that I was really struggling with a headache, that I was just absolutely exhausted and everything. My hood is really annoying me at this minute, and all of that, and I really wasn't feeling grand on Wednesday. I woke up on Wednesday, and my alarm went off to go, like, to wake Alice up and to obviously do the school and everything, and I couldn't keep my eyes open. Like, honestly, I just kept nodding off, and then like I tried getting out of bed, and my body was just aching like anything. Like, I was struggling, and my mum ended up like literally saying, "Stay in bed, I'll sort Alice out for you." I was so out of it. I can't even remember much of Wednesday. That's how in and out I was. Like, when I finally did wake up, which was about midday, 1 o'clock, something like that, I couldn't even remember actually going downstairs and saying goodbye to Alice. Like, I honestly woke up thinking I hadn't said goodbye to her and anything. But like my mum's like, no, you did. Yeah, I don't know what's up with me. The last time I've ever felt this badly exhausted was when I was really badly flaring with my Crohn's disease. Now, part of my Crohn's disease, you do get chronic fatigue. The medication I am on also gives the side effect for that is fatigue as well. So I do get tired easily anyway. But this is like full-blown exhaustion. Like, you know, I'm struggling to stay awake. You know, I'm napping during the day. I don't have any energy. I'm like achy and sluggish. And if I'm going to be totally honest, the only way I can describe how I was on Wednesday during the day, especially, was if you've had a massive big operation and you've been under general anaesthetic and you're dosed up on painkillers, you know, when you get woken up from there, like, you're really confused, like your brain's all sluggish, you feel really weird, you're not really noticing your surroundings, you don't really know what's going on. Well, that was how I was feeling, and I haven't felt this badly exhausted in a long time. You know, it's been a good few years now. Well, you know, I'll be totally honest, 2021 was probably the time where my Crohn's was fine. And that's purely because of the operation I had. But from like 2015 till 2021, I was obviously badly flaring, didn't know I had Crohn's until 2017. But I don't know why I'm this bad. Like, I'm not 100% sure whether I might be a little bit anemic. I get my monthly bloods done, and I think I've got one next Thursday, so it'll be interesting to see whether I am or not. If I am, then that will make sense. But honestly, I don't think I am, because I'm on multivitamin tablets, which has iron in it, so I don't know. I don't know whether it is sort of like mental exhaustion. I am struggling with Alice's behaviour a little bit at the moment. Like, she's just, sometimes she's really good, other times she absolutely flips, and we're on tenterhooks of, like, is she going to be good today? Is she going to be horrendous? You know, all of us have been shouting. You know, my mum even walked out the house one night because it was that bad, and we were all shouting at one another. It's quite stressful in a house, if I'm going to be totally honest. So I don't know whether it's just mental exhaustion, just because, you know, I've had 3 weeks of this now, and it's just been intense, and it's just like, you know, what is going on? None of us know what's going on. I don't even think Alice knows why she's like this. So I don't know whether it's that. But yeah, Wednesday I was in bed. I think I woke up at, like, I think it was 12:30 in the afternoon. I grabbed something to eat. I sort of spoke to my mum for a bit, and then I went back upstairs, watched YouTube. And it was I only started actually feeling a bit more energy, not much, but a little bit more in the evening. And, you know, when Alice came from school, I just chilled and watched telly with her. I had some dinner, but literally I jumped on some Patreon sprints, which was really handy because I hadn't read at all up until then. And then yesterday, well, still now I'm not got full of energy like I am. You know, I've got a bit of a headache coming on, and I already feel knackered just get doing the school run and going to the shops quickly. But yesterday we kept Alice off school because she's got a cold, but her asthma's really bad, and she was just non-stop coughing Wednesday night, and when she hardly really got much sleep. Didn't really get much sleep myself because she was coughing, and just because of how much she was coughing, we knew school probably be like, you need to test her, and we know full well it's just asthma. But so I didn't vlog then because, you know, I was there with her, and I thought I can't be bothered to vlog, you know, but I have done reading, so that's the reason why I didn't vlog the last 2 days, but I have done reading. So Wednesday night, like I said, I jumped on Patreon sprints. I jumped on Ash's Patreon sprints. Now, I'll be honest, I do jump on to those sprints, but I'm not very chatty on them like I am on Sid's, just because I'm quite new on there, and a lot of these people have been there since the start, and, you know, I don't really know these people very well to like warrant a conversation. So I tend to sort of read during the sprints. I give myself like a little bit of a breather when they're chatting, but the majority of the time I carry on reading while they're chatting, just because I don't really know them well enough. But in those sprints I was reading the Red Squirrels of Magic, so I don't even know what page I was on from Tuesday, but I managed to actually finish this book in those sprints, which was really handy because by this point I sort of had lagged a bit behind in my reading. I was just like, oh, I need to like pick it up. So I did finish this. So originally, like the first half of this book, I was enjoying it, but not as much as the Mortal Instruments 3 books that I've read so far. So I was sort of like leaning on a 3, possibly nearly near a 4. But when we got to a certain part, I think it was probably part 3 of this book, everything kicked off. There was a few plot twists that I did not see coming. I was like, ooh, and it really did pick up. So I have given this a 4-star. Don't get me wrong, I really did enjoy it. I do love Magnus and Alex's character, and it was really nice to just read a bit more about them and see their relationship grow. And it's nice to see how it's different in the books to it is on a TV series, because how Magnus and Alec get together in the books is completely different to the TV series, and I do prefer this way than actually on the TV series. So it's nice to have that, like the queer rep in here. There was a lot of queer rep, not just Magnus and Alec, but other characters as well, which I really appreciated. I also like the fact that there was prejudice with these 2 characters, but not because they were gay, but because Magnus was dating a shadow hunter, Alec was dating a downworlder, and it's sort of like they're meant to be like enemies sort of thing, and not many people like that situation. So I quite like the prejudice there, and how, you know, most couples it might affect them, but these guys were like, we love each other, we don't like it, then that's your problem, not ours. And I quite like that. Like I said, there was lots of twists and turns in here that I appreciated, I did not see coming, and the ending of this I was like, ooh, which I think I'm not 100% whether it opens up to the next book in this duology, because we've got the Red Squirrels of Magic, which is the Eldest Curses book 1, and then it's the Lost Book of the White, the Eldest Curses book 2, which is just those two in that series. But I'm not sure whether this ending opens up to the other books in the series, or whether it just opens up for the Lost Book of the White. I'm not sure. But yeah, the third part, I think, was what really picked it up. It was fast paced, like a lot was going on. I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's me. That's me. So I think if that didn't do what it did, it probably would be a freestyle, but because of that, I really did enjoy it. And then there was a last lot of sprints. I finished that, so I had 1 sprint left. So I managed to pick up another book. So for the prompt of Poseidon, which was like water elements, I decided to change that and read The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. I've seen a lot of people put that book on that prompt, and I was just like, has it got like water elements in here? So I was just like, well, I'll read it and then I'll see. If not, then I'm going to find something else. It did. So I'm very, very happy that it did, because I love that book. I gave it 5 stars. It was on my Kindle. I flew through it. It was really good. Basically, we follow... I've forgotten her name now. Well, that's good. I've forgotten her name. That's going to really annoy me. Basically, we follow 2 characters. One of them has been brought up all of her life to become the bride of this king. If I'm going to be totally honest, it gives me a little bit of Blood and Ash vibes. It gives me a little bit of Agatha vibes in certain sense, but basically her and her sisters all get brought up to be like assassins, to pretty much infiltrate this kingdom and this king to get the bridge, because they're like, they need food and poverty and all that and blah blah blah. And the beginning of this book, basically her father picks one sister, but just before they had their meal for him to do that, she found out that he was going to kill the rest of the sisters, so they didn't share the plot, sort of thing. And so our main character basically was like, I don't, she doesn't want to die, but she also doesn't want her sisters to die, so she conked up a plan where basically she drugged her sisters to the point that it looked like they died, and she was the only living one, so she had to be the new wife to this king. And she left a note to one of her sisters to explain what went on and for them to start a new life and all that. So she did that, and then she went to the Bridge Kingdom, met the king and all that. And so they're all very much very like not keen on her, because they think she's going to be a spy and all that. So they put her at arm's length. But as time goes on, both our main character and the king start to sort of form a friendship, and then they sort of form, like, there's obviously lust between them because they both fancy each other, but nothing sort of went. And then he admitted feelings and all that, and then he finds out, he hasn't shared it with anyone, but he finds out she's a spy, so he decides to actually take her back to her home and actually fully see how much she's been deceived. So she finds out that her father's completely lied, that that actually her father is the one who's done all the poverty because he's kept all the money to himself. He's not actually sharing it to the rest of his people. And so she's obviously fuming that everything her and her sister been trained, all of the like abuse and everything they've gone through as well was for nothing. So she obviously finds out the truth, and she's very much on now her king's side and all that. Like, she wants to save her people, and the king she's married to knows that, and they're trying to work a way where they can do that, but also get her father off the throne and everything. And basically through that she has to write letters, but in those letters there's codes and all that. So she did write a letter with everything about what was going on the bridge, how to infiltrate it and everything, but she thought she got rid of it. It turned out that actually she didn't get rid of that piece of paper, because her husband, the king, picked it up, because it's like invisible ink. He wrote over it and sent this letter to her father to say, I know she's a spy, blah blah blah, but she's she's found out the truth. If you want us to still cooperate and all that, you leave her alone, you don't come after her, and blah blah blah, and we'll help your situation out. So he's sort of like, it's like a threat basically, because he knows that her father's going to kill him and kill her. So he sends it off, but what he nor she realised was that that piece of paper was where she wrote everything to infiltrate. So they come back from I don't know where, and yeah, basically one of her sisters is there because she's sort of been working with her father and blah blah blah, and she's jealous because she should have been the wife and all that, and all of that malarkey. And her father's just kidnapped her husband, and now it's come all out that everyone thinks she's a spy and she's betrayed, but actually she wasn't betraying them. It was like, you know, she obviously was planning to, but she never went through for it, and it was like a complete massive accident. So basically they don't trust her, but she turned around and said, you're going to have to trust me because I know my father inside and out. I know I know my home, I know my kingdom, and said, you know, if you want to see your king, you need me because I'm the one who will be able to get him out. So it left it right on a cliffhanger. It's like enemies to lovers trope. It's also an arranged marriage. It's also at some point it's like a forced proximity moment as well, like one bed sharing thing. It was really good. Like, was it as spectacular as some other fantasy romances I've read? Probably not, but just by the pure enjoyment and how quickly it flew through the book, I just had to love it. And it is based on the British Kingdom. It's based on this big massive sea, so there's loads of water elements in here, which I was like, yeah. So I read that too, which I managed to read all of that yesterday. So now I'm on to The Witchhaven by Sasha Payton Smith. So I was hoping to start it last night, but I ended up finishing editing my vlog that I think it's gone up now, or nearly gone up now. No, yeah, it has gone up now. Yes, it has. I edited that because I've been meaning to edit it and I keep putting it off. So finally did that and scheduled it in and everything. And then like by that point it was like 9 o'clock, but I was just not in the mood to read. And I thought, you know what, I'll just watch some BookTube because there's a lot of BookTube videos I put on my watch later. So I caught up on that. So I'm going to pick this up next. And technically I just got this and then King of Scars because this was going to be for 2 prompts. However, I think I'm going to change my mind for that. So King of Scars I'm going to do for Artemis's prompt, which was read a most anticipated book, which is this. And then for her Hephaestus, I can never say her name, her prompt was to read a sequel, which again I was going to include this because it's part of the Grishaverse books, but it actually technically isn't a sequel because it's the first book in the duology. So I was just like, I was kind of making it work when actually it's not a sequel. Like, it's part of the Grishaverse series, but this is like the first person in its own like book duology. So I decided actually also to give myself more points for Team Chaos that I was not going to bother using Hades like power. So I think to do Hephaestus prompt, which is read a sequel, I think I'm going to read the second book to the British Kingdom, which is the Traitor Queen, just because of the cliffhanger on that, and I'm just like, I need to know what happens. Like, I'm not sure whether it's a trilogy or whether it's a quartet. I can't remember. So knowing me, I probably am just going to read the whole series this month just purely because I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to do that for that prompt because it gives me more points for Team Chaos, and it is part of a sequel because it is the second book, rather than trying to make King of Scars fit when technically it doesn't because it's the first book in the duology. So I'm going to do that, but we're going to go and concentrate on the Witchhaven. So I don't know much about this. I'm going to tell you what it's about. So basically we're in 1911 New York City, and we follow 17-year-old Frances Halliwell, who spends her days as a seamstress mourning the mysterious death of her brother months prior. But everything changes when she's attacked and a man ends up dead at her feet, her scissors in his neck, and she can't explain how they got there. Basically, before she was condemned as a murderess, 2 cape-wearing nurses arrive to inform her that she is deathly ill and is ordered to report to Haxhaven's sanitarium. But Frances finds Haxhaven isn't a sanitarium at all, it's a school for witches. I think basically there's like powers. It says Frances must ultimately choose what matters more, justice for her murdered brother and her growing feelings for Finn, or the safety of her city and fellow witches. What price would she pay for power, and what if the truth is more terrible than she ever imagined? So I think it's like a dark academia witchy book. This book obviously fits the Zeus, which is lightning. Basically it's a book that you cover bought. So this is what it looks like, but under the dust jacket it looks like that, which is the reason why I got it, because it just is so beautiful without the like both of them's beautiful. Like, I love stars and moons. Like, I had a bit of a thing for them. So yeah, this is what we're going to plan to read. I do have my volunteer thing to do at 1:30. I completely, oh my god, this is how bad things were. I was meant to do it last Friday and I completely forgot. Like, I mean completely forgot. Like, she messaged me to say, and I was just like, oh my god, like literally I was like in my pajamas not doing anything, but it so I feel totally bad. So this time I like really need to, like, I keep bringing it in my head to remember. So I'm going to read this until I have to do that, and then I probably read more once Alice has gone to her dad's, so she's at her dad's this weekend. but I'm hoping to try and get back into my speeding in regards to reading. But we'll see. Like I said, I still feel not brilliant. So if it comes to the point that my body's saying no, sleep, then I'll sleep. But yeah, that was what we're going to do. That was a very long update for you all. But yeah, I will catch up with you later when I've done some reading. So I'll see you then. Hello. It's 5 PM and I haven't updated you at all until now. Guys, this vlog has just completely gone kaput because I've just changed my mind all over again. Like, honestly, it's pointless me putting TBRs on readathons because the majority of the time I keep changing the book to the prompt. But yeah, so okay, first up, obviously I was currently reading The Witchhaven by Sasha Payton Smith, and I got up to chapter 9, page 114. Now, I'm not enjoying this. There's bits about this book that I am enjoying, and there's been some quotes and some things that have been mentioned that's like I've highlighted and thought, ooh, but it's not holding my attention. I thought it possibly might have been because I was a little bit tired yesterday and I just wanted to watch some of the series that I needed to catch up on because my parents keep going on about it, and I was like, I really want to like be clued into this. So I thought it was that, but I got up early this morning and I just had no like rush to pick this up. And I'm not 100% sure whether it's because at the moment Witchhaven, which is like a school for the witches, whether it's because they're not actually doing very important witchcraft. Like, they're sort of pretty much portraying to say that these witches can only use their power to do like minuscule things, like, you know, thread a needle, clean a room, make dinner, things like that. And I'm just there thinking, I'm not saying use magic for evil, but surely you can use magic and be powerful for certain things, you know, help people poor who've got no food, you know, give them some food, you know, protect them from danger, which clearly a lot of these girls have been in, which has made their magic come out. And I sort of can see where this book is going. Like, we've got this character called Finn, who at the moment, like, she's met once through William, but she sees him in his dreams and they sort of have this conversation, and I got a feeling that this is happening. I also got a feeling that he is behind these anonymous notes talking about his brother. She's just got this random magic spell book, which one bit's on there to say about resurrecting the dead, but not as in making them alive, but more like you can have a conversation with them. So I kind of feel like Finn's involved in here, even though we haven't physically got Francis and Finn meeting one another. But I've gotten to the point where I'm thinking, I have a feeling where things are going to go. And it's not holding my attention. I'm not drawn to it. I don't want to pick it up. Like, this first part of the book, like the first couple of like chapters, was really fast paced. And I knew it was sort of dwindled down a little bit when she's in school. But I was just expecting for her to have like witchcraft, like magic lessons. I was expecting her to learn her magic and all that. And it's very clear that that's really not the case. Like, it's given me more cult vibes of, you know, like they're sort of portraying, saying, oh, we're protecting you because people out there don't like you to be powerful, especially with magic and all that. And I can understand that. And I think it's the era where people burn witches and stuff. So I can get that. But I'm just there. Yeah. Like, I do want to read this at some point. Like, it's a beautiful book, and I do think as I get further into this book, things might pick up and I might, like, really be engrossed. But at the moment, it's taken me forever to read this book, and at the moment, most of the books that I have read so far, I've enjoyed so much that I've devoured. And I do not have the time nor the patience at the moment to take days to read a book. You know, I want to read a book that captures my attention and I don't want to put down, because I have a habit when I read books and it takes me ages to read, I put myself in a slump because I'm losing that enjoyment. And I'm not slumping at all, I'm just bored. And when I'm bored, I lose my concentration, and that's what this was giving me. Like, it was sort of, it started off with a bang and now I'm like, really? And I've noticed that with some books, like, things start off with a bang and then it just dwindles down, and then right at the end it picks up. And you're like, ugh, like, I don't mind a slow burn fantasy, I don't mind the world building and all that, but I just, yeah. So I'm not going to read this. I'm changing this out. So this was for the prompt of like a cover by read a book that I bought because of the cover. So I'm changing that prompt and I'm going for this, which should have been the option anyway. Obviously this is not like a new release. The Atlas 6 was pretty much the most popular book of last year all over TikTok, but it was originally self-published. But now obviously it has been properly published per se. So this is my Waterstone edition, so it looks like this. It's got beautiful sprayed edges. It's also signed, and I don't know whether this is in the self-published paperback one or not. I don't know. But we've also got black and white character artwork. Now, obviously, I know this is like not a new book per se. It obviously was out last year. It was very popular, but I didn't want to get the book. Firstly, purely because for the paperback, it was an extortionate amount. And Kindle, it was an extortionate amount too, and I thought I'd rather just buy, like, you know, like I didn't want to. But then I knew that it was being published properly, like a different cover and all that. And I saw, because I'm obsessed with Waterstones, I buy books that I know I will love. I'll buy like proper special editions per se. And I got an email to say this was going to happen, and I was just like, so I pre-ordered it. So I'm going to put that because it is a cover by, because technically I saw this and sprayed edges and I was like, I want, like, I didn't really care whether I would enjoy the book or not. So I'm going to do this, and I think I'm going to love this book because the synopsis, I'm just there thinking, do you know what? I honestly think I'm going to love it. We've got multiple character POVs. It's like dark academia. It's obviously magic. It's a very interesting magic. So, and it's also got like a Hunger Games vibe with like them all fighting to get the spot in the school. So I'm going to be reading this. I'm not currently reading this now though, because I'm in the middle of reading something. But I'm also going to put this on most anticipated book, which is Artemis. Originally it was going to be King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to read King of Scars. I do. But I did read the first chapter and I was like, I know full well once I read this, I'm going to want to read Rule of Wolves. And Rule of Wolves is for a one of the months for Buzzwordathon, and I don't want to change it because I just can't. So I decided I know when I pick that up I'm going to want to read that book. So I decided on that month I'm going to read King of Scars and just read the book back to back. So I'm going to also put this for that prompt, which is most anticipated book, because it is. I have been wanting to read this book since it's been in my face, like over TikTok, like BookTube, and then Bookstagram. Like, I've been very interested in reading this book. I just didn't want to pay that extortionate amount for a Kindle and a paperback. I'd rather pay the same amount which I got for this hardback, where it's a special edition, it's signed, and it's gorgeous. So because obviously Hades' like special power is I can combine 3 prompts to one book. So I'm not doing 3 prompts, but I am doing 2. So we are going to be reading lists once I finish the book I am currently reading, which is The Traitor Queen, which is the second book in the British Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. So I am currently on chapter 27 page. This is on my Kindle. So I'm 47%, but I'm on page 151. And guys, this is just so intense. And literally, I only picked this up at 3:30. And I've just stopped reading at 5 o'clock and I've read 151 pages. Now, I read Kindle books very quickly anyway, but the fact that I'm just zooming through this book, I'm like, this is what I need. I need a book that is just straight to it, all the way through, that I can just devour and I want to devour. Like, I can't put this book down, hence why, I decided to quickly update you and everything, because I was just about to start a new chapter. I don't want to go into too much details about what's going on in this book, just in case you haven't read the first book. But basically, we follow Lara and Aaron. So Lara has been trained for the whole 15 years of her life to pretty much be a spy, to be an assassin and all this. So her father, the king of Meridian, basically was training up his daughters, and his chosen daughter was going to go to Erythian, I think I've said that out, to marry Aaron, who is king of Erythian. The day that he was going to choose one of his daughters for that, Lara finds out that he will choose one of his daughters and the rest of his daughters will get killed, so they do not tell anyone what's going on. The same as all of the staff that has been involved, bar one, they were all going to get slaughtered too. And Lara wasn't having it. She didn't so much care for herself being killed, but she did not want to have her sisters get killed. Especially when, you know, they've been going through all of this process. They've been abused. They literally have been shaped as murderers, and they are a force to be reckoned with, especially in this book. But anyway, long story cut short, she poisons her sisters, and makes them believe that they're dead. It slows their heartbeat so much that they look like they're dead, but they're not. It will knock them out for like a good hour or two, but knowing full well that the rest of everyone will be dead. So she was left as the chosen one. Her father had absolutely no choice, and basically he said, you've got a year. If you do not find a way for us to infiltrate the Bridge Kingdom, which is this big bridge that's from Meridian to Erithian, he will basically kill her. Anyway, she goes there. All these girls, there's 12 of them, these girls have been groomed, they've been basically told lies. So Lara finds out the truth behind everything, and she realises everything that she's believed is a complete farce. She also starts falling in love with Aaron. Aaron finds out she's a spy, but he saw the hurt when she found out the real truth, and he believed that she was on the side, and she is, but she fucked up, because basically she had this special invisible ink, and so she written all of Aaron's plain parchments, and wrote everything about, so every single piece of paper she wrote how to infiltrate the bridge. She burnt them all bar one. So one of she wrote them on a thing, and she burnt them all, but she didn't realise that Aaron had stashed one of the parchments in a hidden compartment in his bag. So when he wrote to Lara's father to say, I can't remember what it was. It was basically, I know what you've done. I'll do what you asked, but do not hurt her. Blah blah blah. Like, he was basically doing his own threat, and he sent it. But what he didn't realise was that had Lara's stuff on. Lara didn't realise too until it got infiltrated. Basically, Lara's sister, because they all found out what was going on. But one of Lara's sisters, who was the one who was meant to be the wife and infiltrate, she turned to her father and told him what Lara did, and so he made her infiltrate to go in there, blah blah blah. And she basically had Aaron knife to his throat, but Lara managed to kill her sister, but Aaron got kidnapped by Lara's father. So we're in the Traitor's Queen. He's been captured. He's in like one of the jails in Meridian, and Lara was in her own jail because Aaron's sister Anna pretty much was like, you're a traitor and all that. But Lara basically said, you may believe that. I said, but I was a spy for them until I found a truth. She basically told her everything that went on, and she goes, look, I am your best hope to get Aaron out. I'm your best hope for Erithian to basically lead, and she goes, and I'm the one who can get my father off the throne. So they end up coming up with a thing. She goes to find her sisters because she knows her sisters have gone off. So she does, like, for like a few weeks, she hunts and she finds some of her sisters, and they're all back. They since then they've all found out the truth themselves, but they believe that Lara was dead. So they're now in this book. They've combined to go and get Aaron out and to basically fuck their father up. But literally, we've just got to a massive big fight to get Aaron out, and the sisters, like, Lara's a badass, but you combine the sisters all together, there is absolutely no hope. They are so skilled, and that is their father's downfall, because he shouldn't have made them like that, because them all together, they've all got the same training, but some of them, like Lara's very good with knives and arrows, she's a really good shot, whereas one of the other ones is like a wraith, and she's really good at being spies. So like, they've all got their hidden talents, and you put that all together, they are a weapon. So yeah, at the moment Aaron absolutely hates Lara. Like, Lara's in love with Aaron, and she's like devastated that he doesn't trust her, but she understands that Aaron currently hates her because he believes that this was a whole farce, that she made him trust him. She admitted she was a spy for him to trust her, but so he's kind of, at the moment, I'm like, God's sake, mate, she's like risking her life, she's risking her sister's lives to get you out, and you still believe that she's not on his side. But honestly, it's so fascinating. I absolutely love the sisters. The sisters together are just so funny, and particularly one sister called Sarah who's pregnant, and so she's not done like full-on fighting work, but she's still involved in all that, and she is blunt but so funny, and I just love her. We've also now met Lara's brother, so we were portrayed as he was her half brother, but actually turns out that no, he's her full brother, that they actually share the same mother. And now they were talking like he's the inheritance heir, or so, basically he's the next on the throne, but no one wants him to be. He doesn't want to be either, blah blah blah. And his character and that little bit of nickname, the inheritance heir, is actually the third book to this. So I'm not 100% sure. Like from what I've seen, people say the inheritance heir is after the events of the first book and during some of the events in this book. But I think we follow her brother Karis and some girl. So I think it's a similar scenario to what this book is like, but we're following different characters. So I'm not sure whether actually Lara and Erin will be involved in that one or not, or whether there's like side characters. I don't know, but I love how this second book already opened up for the third book, so we know what's going on. But yeah, so that's the plans. I'm definitely going to finish The Traitor Queen today. Like, you know, I'm nearly halfway through. It's not going to take me long. I'm flying through it. And depending what time I finish that, I would have thought it would be like not too long. I will start reading this, and then this is going to be my last book, and hopefully to God that this is a lot better for me. Like, I've read the little bits of this book and I'm already quite intrigued, and I like the fact that we've got multiple POVs, and it's one of my favourite things with books is you've got multiple people in there. So yeah, I'm holding on hope that this is going to be really good. So yeah, that's what's going on. I need to get back on track because I need to finish these books, because I have got a book that I need to read for a tour that I'm on with Angry Robot. So that is like, I need to read that, and because it's a sci-fi, it takes me a bit longer to read. So I want to make sure that I've got a good few days before my tour spot to do it. And then I do have numerous vlogs I need to film as well. And yeah, so I want to try and get these readathons out of my blooming way, because I hate doing readathons and then not finishing them. So yeah, that's what's going on. I really love my hair today. Like this morning it was so like but it's all sort of fallen out a little bit, but I love it. It's really cool. But anyway, yeah, I will probably update you once I finish the book, but honestly it's going to be 5 stars for me. I love it so much. I love the first book. I'm loving this even more. So yeah, and I've got a feeling that once I finish this I'm going to very much want to read the third book, but I maybe have to make some room sometime this month to do that. I'm very excited for the Atlas 6. I'm hoping. It says knowledge is carnage, 6 are chosen, only 5 will walk away, and I'm just like, so yeah, hopefully we're getting on track and I can bash these books out very quickly, because I need to make the rest of the weeks concentrate on these other books. Like honestly, the priorities are the vlogs that I do, so my 12 book challenge one and my Fairy Loot one, they take priority. My book club takes priority too, and that's all I care about, because they're like my main ones that are things that if I don't finish the rest of the books then that's fine, but I would like to. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to carry on reading. I'm going to grab some food, and suspect after that I'll speak to my daughter, then after that I will read. But I have actually spent most of my day downstairs with my family. This morning I got up, I got ready, I had a good old dance about in my room. I had like literally I only picked up reading at around 3:15, because the guinea pigs went out for free roaming. Like they're all separated so they can't go together, and we only did 2 of them because the other 2 just needed to be spot cleaned. But it was really nice because like the free roaming that they have been doing is where the other pigs are, but in their cage, and they're not enjoying themselves. So the fact that they were away from one another, one of them was just doing zoomies around. He was having a blast. He's knackered now because he's been fast asleep. But yeah, so I've literally done zilch this morning because I just really did not want to pick up the Witchhaven. But yeah, we're finally back on track. I'm enjoying my read now, and I'm getting that, you know, I'm not feeling slumpy or anything. So yeah. finished, and holy shit, guys, that was so intense. Like, I was biting my tongue and just like, shit, how is this gonna turn out? Like, honestly, like, the ending was like, it was one of those endings I'm like, oh, like, you wanted more, but at the same time I'm like, it's an ending that's needed, because it's stupid to have another 100 pages of not really much importance. But oh my god, like, that was just intense. Like, I've decided Lara's got more than 10 lives. Like, she's fucking immortal or something, because the amount of times she was at death's door and still somehow is alive, I just, ugh. And like, the ending as well, like, you get that satisfactory bit of, you know, Erin and Lara are, you know they love each other, and, you know, they can finally be together. But at the same sense, you know, it's just, you're still tense because you're like, it's not the end. So the next book is The Inheritance Heir, and basically we do follow two different characters. So we follow Sahara, who is in this book. I'm not going to explain about her because she's a bit spoilery, but we also follow this like unnamed person who's like sort of become like a spy ally for the Meridians, which through this book we know full well is Keris, which is Lara's brother, who is now going to be king of Meridian. So I understand now that this book is after the Bridge Kingdom, and like the beginning of the Traitor's Queen. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how that. I think the book's going to portray like Sahara and Keris and like them. Like, you know, I don't think she knows who he is. Like, them working to defeat Meridian and that. So I don't know how it's going to be, because I'm wondering whether there's going to be some repetition. Like, I'm not sure, because like it says in the blurb like about a war, and we've just got this war bit. So I kind of feel like it's, I don't know, I haven't read it, but I'm wondering whether it's going to be a bit of a repetition, but in their point of views, so what they're doing. So we sort of kind of know what's going on, and knowing what happens in the Traitor's Queen, but we're getting a different perspective of it, possibly. It might be a completely different war or all that, but that's sort of what I'm wondering whether it might be. So it'll be interesting to see how that does play out, if I am correct, because I do find sometimes if a book's been like a different perspective but still a similar plot to the other two books, it's sort of a bit samey. As much as I desperately want to pick up that book, and I could and probably devour it, I really want to now read the Atlas 6 just to get it out of the way, because then I've completed both of the readathons. So I'm being good. I'm not going to go reach and pick it up, even though I really, really want to. I'm going to read it Atlas 6 and try and get that done, and then I might give myself like a day just to read The Inheritance Heir, because I need to know what happened. But flipping hell, it was an amazing book. 5 stars. I absolutely love this author, and I'm going to have a look to see if she's got other books, because, well, it does say she has got other books. So I'm going to look into them, because honestly, if this is what she writes and how she does her fantasies, I'm just like, well, it's not even like, I wouldn't even say it's fantasy actually, because there's no actual magic per se. Like, there's no like, it's not that kind of thing. Like, it's no fae and all that. So it would actually be interesting to find out what kind of. I would say it's a fantasy, but I wouldn't say it's like a magical fantasy. It would be more like sword fighting and political sort of side of things. But anyway, definitely want to read Inheritance soon, and definitely want to pick up the rest of the author's books, because my god, that was just one of the bestest books I've read this month. So yeah, I'm now going to pick up the Atlas 6, and hopefully that will be good and not a flop, because I don't know what else to do otherwise. But yeah, I'm so glad I gave up with the Witchhaven and picked that up, because I needed that, and it shows, because I read that in 4 hours, because I started at 3, finished at 5, or 2, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 5, nearly 4 hours, because it's 7:45, and because I stopped because I had food and spoke to Alice, so nearly 4 hours, and I read that, so it shows how much I love that book. Yeah, that was just, I can't get over it. Like, honestly, it's just, my mind's just like mind blown. It was brilliant. Like, oh, I nearly dropped out of my face then. The characters, just everything. Like, 5 stars. Like, honestly, this is probably my top series of this month. possibly even of this year. Yeah, if you haven't read the Bridge Kingdom series, pick it up, guys. Just pick it up. I'm on page 45. I'm on part 2 of the Atlas 6. I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update. Basically, firstly, this is not a fast-paced book at this particular moment. We've got a lot of characters. It's clear that we've got a lot of characters, different perspectives, and at the moment it's just like the introduction sort of thing. I think as time goes by, this book is going to be a lot faster paced, but I'm already hooked. I am already hooked. I already love all of the characters, and I'm already wanting to be involved with the characters, even the females. I'm just they're gorgeous. They sound gorgeous. But the Atlas 6, we basically follow 6 I'm just gonna say it's 6 magicians. All 6 of them have different abilities. 2 of them are the same type, but one deals with something else, the other one deals with something else, but they're the same class of magicians. But basically, I'm gonna have to use this to remember their names. So we basically follow our 6 main characters, but we also follow Atlas Blakely, who is a recruitment person for the Alexandrian Society, which is a secret society for very, very, very extraordinary magicians. And there's only a handful of people go in, and there's only 5 come out of it. And so basically, he enlists 6 people he believes fits that bill. So we follow Libby Rhodes, who they're classed as cosmologists, which means they can control matter with their minds. So Libby, I think, can control by the sounds of it, I think she's can deal with fire and stuff like that. And we then also follow Nico, or Nico de Verona. He's the same, but his control is something different. I'm not 100% sure which. We also follow Parisia Kamali, who is a telepath. So basically, she can read people's minds and find out their deepest secrets and exploit them or use them, etc. Then we follow Rena Mori, who is a naturalist, and basically she can perceive and understand the flow of life itself. But she has really raw power. She's extremely powerful. And I think at the moment she doesn't know how powerful she is. And then we follow Callum Nova, who is a empath, and he can manipulate the desires of others. And then lastly, we have Tristan Kane, who is extremely rich and all that. And it sounds like his powers is he can see illusions and stuff like that. But it also says here, whose powers mystify even him. So I think he can see illusions and all that, but I don't think we're narrowed to what quite he does yet. And basically, Atlas Blakely has just gone to visit them all in their designated areas, and basically says, come here. He gives them his card, says use this, it will take you to where I am, and it's a start of delving into your powers and being something 10 times better than what the median world can give them. So I kind of think basically the sounds of it is that I think there's it's humans, and then we got medians who've got magical powers, and beside them they all sort of work together. So you got jobs where the medians work, and then humans and all that, and then sometimes work alongside each other but without knowing. It sounds like they all are interlinked together, but humans don't know of them by the sounds of it. I might be completely wrong, but that's how I'm sort of getting. But yeah, we've literally just had each of the 6 point of views, and some of them were quite wary, others were basically Tristan Kane basically is very I'm amazing, so sure I should get a place. I'm not. He's probably the least likable, just because of the air about him, but I can't help like him. The one that actually interests me the most at the moment is Parisia. She's just she's interesting, and I'm not gonna lie, she sounds gorgeous, and I'm just like, I like you. She's intrigues me, and I'm like, ooh. I'm also quite intrigued with Libby and Nico's dynamic. So it's very clear to us as readers that Nico clearly is obsessed with Libby. It's very clear that he really likes her. And unlike most females who take one look at him, they want to be with him, Libby was the opposite, didn't want anything to do with him. She thought he was like a prick, basically. And because of that, he obviously is like, he makes her life hell. But I think it's also a way of, it's his way of actually saying, I like you. And you're not showing me any attention like most women would do. So I'm going to do my own way of getting you to still be near me and talk to me by being a prick to you. So it's a very interesting dynamic between those two, and there's like a very competitiveness between them because Nico's from like a very known medium family. They're obviously quite well known, quite powerful, whereas Libby, I suppose, is from like a poorer side of things. It's very clear that as well. She lost a sister, which I'm not sure what happened there. But she's had to work really hard. They haven't got money. She didn't get all of the magical teaching that she should have because of money. So she's like proving herself, even though she's quite powerful and everything like that. So all of the 6 ended up going to meet Atlas, and this is where we meet Callum. Does it say who he is, like his name? Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it's not Callum. Who is the boat craft just came in? Unless it is. No, sorry, I'm lying. Not Callum. A bloke called Dalton Ellery, who was in like the beginning prologue. He's like, I think, sort of like a teacher of there. He's, I think, going to show them the ropes and all that. So part 2, I think, is them now learning what the Alexandrian society is and what they're going to do. But I do think I'm not 100% sure whether it's like, as it obviously says 6 are chosen, only 5 will walk away. So that question is, like, it's one of the questions: are they fighting for their lives, or is it they're fighting to get a place and one person doesn't get a place and goes back to like normal median sort of world? I don't particularly know. Like, oh, I don't know. It says here they would fight, he knew, tooth and nail to survive the next year of their lives, and if they were as steadfast and talented as the society presumed them to be, most of them would. So it's like, are they fighting for their lives, like an actual physically? Like, that's why I'm getting like the Hunger Games vibe. But yeah, the more I get into it, the more I do. But I need to show you. I'm going to flip my camera because the artwork in this is absolutely beautiful. So we're on Nico. So there's no spoilers here, which would be good. So that's Nico. But we've got these artworks in the story, and I just love it. I can't remember who the artwork is by, but editing me will put it on so you know. So this is Libby. And I think as we go into the book, we will get other drawings. But it's just beautiful. And even if it's like black and white, it's still so detailed. And yeah, it's nice to actually have the artwork of the characters because you're imagining them like that. So yeah, I'm very much enjoying the book. Like I said, I've only read 45 pages, and that's been like about like an hour or so. But I have also been distracted a bit because I was looking through TikTok. Anyway, but I think as we're just getting to know the characters and what powers they got, I think now we've got used to that. Like, it's lucky enough that this is actually a hardback because I take the dust jacket off. It's quite nice because I can look at the dust jacket to confirm which character's got which power, because I can't remember at the moment. It's quite nice to think, oh, which one's he got the power yet? And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one. So it's quite nice to flick through that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I think as I continue going on, I'm going to really continue enjoying it. So it's looking like a good book for me. So I'm on page 223 of the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, and I'm loving this book. Like, I still am not 100% sure where my rating is going to be. But I'm highlighting lots of bits that like just stand out to me. I've started like just annotating a couple of bits, just like opinions. But like there are parts of this book where I have no idea what exactly is going on. I don't particularly know what this Alexandrian society is doing for our 6 medians. like it seems to me that at the moment the Rena, Nico, and Libby, who are their powers are sort of physical, so they can physically do things with their powers, rather the other ones is more sort of mental in some sense. So those three are like sort of doing something about a wormhole, about stopping time, things like that. Like, I don't overly know what they're meant to be doing at this like society. Like I don't know whether they're actually got specific teaching or anything. It doesn't say, or I've completely missed a mark on that. So I sort of am a bit like, well, what's this society doing for them? Because I don't honestly know. What I do know is that our characters' powers are badasses. I can't say it, especially Nico and Libby. Like, them on their own, they're really, really, really powerful. Like, they're badasses. But when you put them together as well, they are really good. It's like they are magnets to one another. Like she's right-handed, he's left-handed. Oh, he's right-handed, she's left-handed. One other way. Like she could do this, he can do that. Like they sort of like together, they're like one massive big power. Like they work, their powers work together really well. So yeah. And Rena, she's a naturalist. But she's very good at combat and stuff like that. Like, yeah. Parisia is a character, like, at first you're not really sure of, but you are starting to actually quite like her. She's just found something out, which I'll say in a minute. Tristan, I like and I don't like. He's sort of one of those people who, kind of, you don't know whether he likes you or not. And he's also currently being misled by Callum. But I think he started to notice that. And Callum, I do not like Callum. He is horrible. So his power... Yeah, so Callum, apparently, his power is an empath. And when you first, like, meet Callum at the beginning, before they're in the society and all that, when Atlas Blake come to talk to him, you sort of... You're curious about Callum. Like, he's very rich. He's quite snotty. But, like, he's also a bit, like, miffed because, like, his power is, like... is empathy, and it's mainly known for women, not him. And so, like, it was sort of interesting to see, you know, what his power's like for him. He's horrible. So, he's just horrible. Like, he's using Tristan. I don't exactly know what he's using him for, but he's using Tristan, and he's like, sort of making everyone not like Tristan. But Parisia warned Tristan to say, he's not good. Like, he's using you. I don't know what his endgame is, but he's not good. And Tristan, because Tristan and Parisia had a one night stand, sort of. I think it might have been more than one night stand, but you know. And he goes and says, well, "What do you mean?" And because like she got paired with him in something which I'll mention in a minute, and it was the first time where she actually got really scared. So he was trying to find out what was wrong, and she then did tell him, and he was just like, yeah. Basically, their first day at the Alexandrian Hotel, in the you know, they sort things out, and basically Atlas Blake told them that the society is theirs, they need to protect it, they need to ward it, they need to make sure that no one gets in, that they're not meant to get in, no one steals things, and blah blah blah. And they're like, why do we have to do it? And he's like, you're the ones here. So basically, they have to work together to put wards and stuff and protect the school. So they were all like arguing and trying to decide, like, and like at this point everyone was like, you know, well, we're more powerful than you. But it's very clear that the ones who've got like physical powers, like ones that where they could physically do things, physically hurt people and stuff like that, at the moment they seem a bit more powerful and more important, in my opinion. But I'm not saying that the others aren't. They just, yeah. Anyway, so they were sort of like trying to like work out what to do, and like how to know like what wards to put up. So they all decided that they were going to think on it and blah blah blah, and sort it out the following day, because it was literally their first day there. And then they were all gone to sleep, and then so Nico's best friend Gideon, he's like, we don't know what he is. He's like he looks like he's some creature, like possibly part mermaid or something. But basically, he can shapeshift into dreams and stuff like that. So he was he went into Nico's sort of dreams, and they were talking, and then he said, "Oh, something's happening." He goes, "I gotta," he says, so he was like, "Oh, something's happening. I don't know what, but I can feel something's happening." And then he disappeared because someone came into Nico's room, which was Rena, and Rena said, "I think there's someone, in the, I won't even say house, like, I don't know, like, they thought there's someone in the society who shouldn't be here." So Nico went and had a look, and he noticed that there, so Nico used his powers, and there was someone there. Parisia came running in and saying there's more than one people, like, I can hear them. And then Libby came in, and she sort of can feel waves and stuff like that. And she said, Parisia's right, there's more than one. And anyway, they all ended up coming out and finding out what's going on, and it was sort of like military. And there were two that were mediums. So one was a illusionist, and another one was sort of a similar to no, that's a lie. Another one that they can do waves, which is a bit similar to what Nico and Libby can do, but like he isn't nowhere as powerful as them. Anyway, it was a massive big fight. They had guns. Nico got shot. They all separated. So Nico and Rena did a lot of soldiers, where Libby and Tristan went to another lot, and then Parisia and Callum were somewhere else. And so they all had this big fight, and blah blah blah. They all obviously won. So Tristan and Libby work together. So Tristan can see illusions, and he could see. So he doesn't actually see what everyone else can see. He can see normal, like what is an illusion. He can see what should people see. So Libby was like, he went to Libby and said, "What are you doing? Like, you missed a shot." She goes, "No, there's loads there." And he goes and says, "Well, tell me what you can see." So she told him, and he goes, "There's only 3." And so he sort of guided her, and then as she sort of then blocked out the illusion, because you can block powers, and then she obviously then saw the actual real thing. So obviously, not only can Tristan see normal stuff, but he can see other things, like he can see particles. He can actually see time and stuff like that, which is his powers are very strange, but very, very, very clever, and he's very rare. Anyway, so they managed to do that, but those both Nico and Rena and Libby and Tristan, we got their point of view of what happened in this fight. We didn't get Callum's and Parisia's, and that was quite interesting, because I was like, okay, why haven't we not got them? Like, that's a bit strange. As we get into the book, when Parisia got completely freaked out, and it turns out that Callum, he's an empath, but like he can obviously change people's feelings and stop them feeling stuff and all that, and he actually told one of the soldiers to kill herself. So he made her kill herself just by putting a thought in her head. And he didn't even say anything, he just put a thought in her head. But because obviously Parisia's a telepath, she could hear the woman's thoughts, and what Callum was doing well in that person's thoughts. And it scared her, because she knew full well Tristan can turn all of them against each other and, hurt each other. So that was what happened there. So obviously it freaked her out, blah, blah, blah. So that went on, and then they found out it was just a test to see if they could work together. And it's clear that, yes, they can all work together. Their powers are all like something that can all work one another, and it's not like these ones are more powerful than them. Like, they are all equally powerful. Oh, did you hear my tummy rumble? And then basically Parisia's been trying to have sex with this bloke called Dalton, who works in the Alexandrian society. So he was like one of the chosen 6, and then became the chosen 5. But instead of like going out and finding different jobs, he stayed there. So we've just found out that he's in a mission. Basically, he can bring things to life, but he can also kill things. So he's very powerful. He can bring plants to life. He can bring people to life, probably. It's not like necromancy or anything like that, but yeah. We don't really know overly much about him, but Parisia had sex with him, basically, and then she managed to get into his head, and she found little bits of stuff out, found out who he was, but she then also found out that he was quite scared for her, and she was like, why is he scared? So she like nudged into that. So it turns out she just then found out that 6 are chosen, only 5 will walk away, that actually the 6th person gets killed. And so like she was like, what? And like she was asking him questions. She said like, he couldn't tell her. And then he basically said, anyway, she kept asking things, and he was sort of letting her know things, and she goes and says, who did you kill? And then he finally told her, through like his mind and all that. But he's got loads of like wards up in his brain. So I got a feeling that he's not doing it for Parisia's sake. I think he's put wards up because there's someone in the society he's hiding stuff from, and I've got a feeling that somebody's Atlas Blake. Like, I think Atlas Blake's there's something dodgy about him. And then anyway, he told her to meet her at his room. He was going to be asleep, and he was going to test her to see if she could get something. Anyway, so she went into his brain, and apparently all he did was like a little big bank thing, and she just needed to pick out a piece of paper, and if she could do that, then, he would give her an answer. But she ended up not doing that, and somehow found a castle, and she found this room, and it showed her what happened with this boy that basically they all, everyone decided that this person needed to be killed, and he said, look, we can kill you, I can bring you back to life, and you can just have a normal life outside of this, and blah blah blah. So this bloke was like, okay, but then he I don't know, he couldn't do it or something, and it turned out that everyone was actually plotting to kill Dalton, and so Dalton killed him or whatever. So like obviously Parisia's now found out that they were all gonna, like, someone's gonna get killed, and like, considering she knows that knowledge, I'm quite shocked that she hasn't bothered just to leave. So I'm a bit like, but like, I think she also knows that they can't leave, they can't walk out of the place, like, because they could tell secrets and all that. So that's happening. They've just had I think it's been 6 months. They've just had a first like weekend where they can go out and see like their family and friends. But every single one of them who's done that, they've been approached by some like person and saying, you tell us about the Alexandrian Society and we'll make, you can do this, you can do that. And they're like sort of thinking, is it a test? And so none of them have actually said anything. And then, so Parisia and Tristan went back to the society, but they couldn't actually go fully into the society because like there were meetings going on and they weren't allowed to be there. So they were in like the hallway, and that's the only place where they can go. So Tristan and Parisia were there getting drunk, and then Libby came along. So they were all talking, they all got drunk. It was the first time that Libby and Parisia like actually talked, and like basically Parisia there was this whole big thing. They ended up having a threesome, and I was fully here for it. Like, it wasn't graphic or anything, it wasn't at all smutty. It was insinuated, and you can work out yourself that's probably what's happening. But yeah, that was like interesting and completely just random. Libby and her boyfriend Ezra, they had a fight. I'm not sure if they're broken up or not, but they had a fight. But I don't like Ezra, and I have a feeling because he's sort of still brought into the book, even though he's not part of the Atlas Six, like he's just the boyfriend. I'm wondering whether there is something going on, because he wants to know about the Alexandrian Society. Like, he knows she can't talk about it or anything like that, but he keeps fishing and he keeps saying, look, if you're in danger, tell me, blah, blah, blah. And she obviously can't tell him. And it's just there thinking, why are you fishing? And it's like he knows something. I don't know. He seems dodgy because he keeps like asking me what you've been up to, what you're learning. And it's just like, hold on. She hasn't said anything. Like, from what I've gleaned out of the book and all that, she hasn't said that she's in a school, she hasn't said that she's done anything or anything like that. She just said that she's accepted a place where after a year, if she gets chosen, she can go higher up and all of that. And she's been chosen because she's one of the most powerful people, blah, blah, blah. That's all she told him. Like, she hasn't said anything else. And it's just sort of like he knows, but he can't tell her that he knows. So he's asking all these questions, and I'm there thinking, I don't know, he just seems dodgy. I don't particularly like him. Callum is dodgy as well. Like, I don't know what's going on with him. Obviously, it's clear that someone's got to die, and I'm there thinking, who is it going to be? But yeah, so I'm on page 223. I have literally this much there. I really want to read it today, but it's inset day for my daughter, hence why I have some of my pyjamas, and they've just quickly gone to the shops, hence why I thought I'd quickly do this. But it's inset day for my daughter, and my grandparents are coming round this afternoon. I need to have a shower. So I'm probably not going to be able to pick this up either until late afternoon or probably in the evening. So slightly annoying, but hey ho. But I definitely will finish it, whether it will be tonight or whether I read a little bit and then finish the last bit tomorrow morning. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to try and finish it tonight because I think I've probably got about 100, maybe 200 at the most left. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like, there are parts where it's just, I don't really know what's going on, but I just love it. I think it's really good. I'm not 100% sure whether it's a 4 or 5 stars, just because there are parts where I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. But it all really depends on the ending and how that turns out. But yeah, I'm going to try and finish it today. But I probably won't update you until tomorrow, or if I don't finish it today, I'll definitely finish it tomorrow and then I'll update you. But hopefully I will finish it today. It might just be that I have to pick it up once Alice is asleep and everything. But yeah, really enjoying it. Completely different, but yeah, it's really good. Hi my loves. So I have officially finished the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I finished this last night, but I had a lot of thoughts, so I decided just to sleep on it and gather all my thoughts and how I feel about this book, Attack, and has a good star rating. So I've given it 4 stars on Goodreads, and on Storygraph I've given it 4.25. I did enjoy this book. I'm certainly excited for the second book and to see how that plays out and everything like that. But I suppose I don't fully grasp what the hype is for this, if I'm going to be totally honest. I love the characters. I love the diverse of the characters. I love that we have multiple POVs. I love that these characters, I would say, are quite morally grey. Like, there's some more morally grey than the others. I like that some of these characters you're not keen on, and there's probably like a couple that you don't mind, but they're not characters you fully love. But I think as time goes on, you do sort of care what happens to them. And I do like how original and quirky this book is. You know, it is very different to most books I've read. Like, it's a very different type of dark academia. It's a very different type of magic system in some sense. Like, not different in the sense that you never had them before, but different in like how these characters use their powers and what they do with it and how quite dangerous they can be, and then when they're all together, how even more powerful they can be. And like, you know, I honestly think these 6 characters could cause like a massive world war if they wanted to. I think my problem with this is it's quite slow paced. Like, I felt the beginning of the book when we first, like, they get their invitation and all of that, I thought it was quite fast. I read that quite quickly. And then when it got into the society itself, it was still quite fast paced. And then obviously it started dragging after the sort of attack they have, and that got slow. And for me, my parents and my friends would say a complete different thing, but I wouldn't class myself as a very intelligent person. You know, I did school, I tried college, I dropped out after 6 months. I haven't done any sort of education since. You know, I'm personally very much a, you know, I'd rather just work and get money rather than constantly be education. Like, I haven't got that like career drive like some people have. You know, I never wanted to be a doctor or nurse or anything like that. You know, I still, like, I know what I would love to be. I'd love to be a librarian or own a bookshop or something like that. But back then, you know, I never had any career side of things. So I would say I'm not as intelligent as some people. So there's a lot of talk in here about physics. We've got wormholes, we've got about like molecules and like how you can notice time and stuff. And I felt in quite a chunk of this book, I felt like I was in school with teachers teaching me these things and me going, I have no idea what you're on about. And that's how I felt. Like, at the start of this book, I pretty much was reading things and like I was trying to make sense of it, but was failing. But as time gone on, I won't lie, I did skim read it. Like, I still read it, I still know what happens, but I skim read it because I was like, I don't understand it. It's pointless me trying to dissect and understand it. Like, I'm very aware that what they were talking about sort of is opening up to what's going to happen near the end of the book and probably in the second book. So I understood why that was there, but I couldn't tell you if I fully understood what they were meaning because I didn't. And for that's why it doesn't have a 5-star, because it felt very slow. Felt like I was back in school, completely clueless what's going on. And, you know, I did get quite bored. I was just like, I want the action, which I must admit, what I kind of was expecting in this book to be quite action-packed, it wasn't. Like, they had an attack near the front of the book, and it was them showing like their powers and like how they have to work together to protect the society. And obviously in this book you sort of know that like it's only going to be 5, there won't be 6, and as you get further into the book you know that actually the 6th person isn't just eliminated as in like they leave, it's actually they are dead. And so I kind of expecting to get a bit of a Hunger Games moment, that they were like, they obviously had to work together but also, you know, they're fighting for their place and that. And we didn't get much of that. And I was just like, oh, Like, I kind of was going into this to think it was a dark academia, superpowers with like Hunger Games, with the fact that they're fighting for their place. So yeah, like, if you ask me to literally tell you what went on in this book from start to finish, I can't. I can't tell you. I can't honestly tell you that. What I can tell you is that these characters get invited to the society because they're the most powerful people, and that they can help them get even more powerful and all that. It's very clear that Atlas Blakely isn't who he says he is, and we also find out that Ezra, which was Libby's boyfriend, who then became an ex-boyfriend, but it was clear that, well, I had an inkling with Atlas. I thought he was dodgy, and I'm correct. I thought there was something dodgy about Ezra, but I'm not 100% sure whether he's dodgy as in he's bad, or whether he's playing a baddie but he's actually trying to defeat Atlas. I'm not 100% sure. I think the second book will explain things. So there were some twists in here that I was like, oh, I like that. There was one moment where I thought someone died and I was like, what? And then finding out that it was a complete like illusion, that this person made them go into this like dreamscape sort of thing, which was just so bizarre but so brilliant. And then another character I thought was dead but wasn't, and I was just like, oh, like the last third of this book, it was very like, I breezed through it very quickly. But yeah, I don't get the hype, in my opinion, whether it's just because I didn't fully understand the book, which made it a bit slow for me, but I don't get the hype. I will still happily read the second book because I want to know what happens. But it isn't a book like I would also shout out and say, you need to read this is excellent, because I don't personally feel that. You know, the writing's brilliant, the world building's brilliant, the characters are brilliant in a sense, like, you know, some of them you don't like, but but at the same time you're sort of rooting for them. So I like that, and I do like how unique this story is. Just unfortunately, half of it went over my head, and I couldn't honestly say what's going on. So it's done, which means I have finished all of the book prompts for my team. So just to go through, I read The Red Squirrels of Magic by Cassandra Clare. So I gave this 4 stars, and this was for Hades' prompt. Then I read The Bridge Kingdom, which I gave 5 stars, and then I read the sequel, which was The Traitor's Queen, which were both by Danielle L. Jensen, and both of them were 5 stars. And then Atlas 6 for Artemis and Zeus's prompt. Now, with that, I have finished my team's prompts, and I can't actually honestly remember how many points I've done now. I will put the editing me there. However, this is obviously a month-long readathon, and you can do the other team's prompts, and you get points, not as many points, but you get points for that. So I think, depending on what books I'm reading, because I've still got quite a lot of books to read that are on my TBR, if some of the books that I've read fit the other team's prompts, then I'll add it in just to give me and my team some extra points. But if not, then that's fine. Like, you know, from now, like, I've done my team, that's what my focus was. But I do have quite a numerous amount of books left, so they might possibly fit in the other team's prompts. I haven't fully seen what they are yet to determine, but yeah. So yeah, that's the end of this vlog. I managed to read 4 books, which is brilliant purely because I kept changing my mind. And yeah, so the 2 main readathons that I wanted to do are out of the way. I have a Galaxy-a-thon readathon, which I am currently reading, but I only have 3 books to read, and one of them is an alien romance, and I'm loving it, and I've nearly finished it. And then the other 2 books, I know I'm going to breeze through it because it's my 2 favourite authors, and one's a sequel, one is by an author that isn't like a first book in a series, but I know the author, so I probably can breeze through those books this week, and then that means I've completed all the readathons, so brilliant. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye!